Oh my goodness, look at this, look at this. Got 6 more bales of straw. Yeah! I'm excited because we were just about out of straw for our Humanure Compost. We got this just in time. I don't know what it is. I think in this area it's just tough to get straw. So I'm thinking this should last close to a year. We've been going through straw a little quicker since not only do I use it for cover material at the compost bins, but I also been chopping it up and we've been using it as cover material for the toilet as well. But I like the idea of using the straw in both areas. I feel like it would break down a lot quicker. So I'm just gonna pull these out by hand, throw them in the gorilla cart. Take it over to the hacienda. It's only 6 bales altogether, not too big of a deal. I just didn't want to drive the truck all the way around through some of the grassy areas and put in some ruts over there. Could still be kind of wet from all the rain. All right. Woo, should be stocked up for a while now. Love it. So if you don't know already, my wife and I live off-grid in the Arizona desert. We're out here trying to homestead, trying to live more sustainably, trying to do what we can, where we can. This right here is our compost. It's not just any compost though, it's our Humanure Compost. This is where all of our waste goes, in here, mixed with straw. That's why it's so important for us. So this is exciting. We've actually been doing this now for just over 2 years. Why is that exciting? Well, that means this pile is done. We've just finished building on it. We've been building on this now for just over a year. Probably about a month over where we were supposed to. Just as long as you're building on it for a year and you let your previous compost sit for a year. Speaking of that, let's go to the previous compost. So this is our previous pile. Now we finished building on this and it's just been sitting here for a year. Haven't touched it, haven't done anything except maybe add some water to it from time to time. I know composting here in Arizona can be a little tough. Things can dry out pretty quickly. So one thing we did just from time to time is just keep watering it every now and then just to help it break down. But today is the day. I'm gonna take off all these boards, dig into the pile, and let's see how it looks. I'm interested to see how our poo looks after it's been sitting in this pile for a year. Technically it shouldn't be poo anymore. It should be nice, healthy soil. I may be a little weird, but I can't wait to take these boards off and to dig in and see what everything looks like. Now, yeah, our bodily waste went into here, but also some food scraps, things that maybe would take a little while to break down in like a regular compost tumbler that we've been using. Oh, I think our dead chicken went into here too. One of our chickens had died. We thought it might, instead of burying the chicken, it might have been better to place the chicken inside the compost pile where it might disguise the smell so predators won't dig it up, and actually the extra added nitrogen would help break down the compost. So let's see how this all worked out. With Humanure Compost, perfectly fine for growing food. Some people might be a little squeamish about eating food from a garden that's been fertilized with Humanure Compost. We're actually going to be using this. I'm going to be putting it down toward the south of us where we'll be planting our food forest. So all this will be used for growing trees. Oh, this is incredible. Man, this is absolutely incredible. So I'm just starting to dig through this. And look at this. This has got to be some of the richest, healthiest soil down in the center here. Wow, it's like very light, very fluffy, full of worms. I think this is pretty incredible. It's amazing to see this thing teem with life. All kinds of worms, little pill bugs. It doesn't look like some things broke down all the way. Seeing some eggshells in there. Of course, you don't remember tossing any eggshells away, huh?
I don't, but it's possible.
It's possible. There's a skull in here. Didn't fully break down. You think that could have been our chicken skull? But I mean, most of this stuff broke down and it's just no smell. It smells like dirt. It smells like soil. Incredible. Well, anyway, this is so cool to see. So I'm going to dig all this out here. I'm going to move it down about 60 feet away. Put it all in a pile. We're not quite ready to use it yet, but I'll put it in a pile It'll keep breaking down over there, but I'm excited to get to use this stuff. This is gonna be the start of really improving the soil health out here. Year after year, we'll get another pile of this compost. We'll keep spreading it out. I think we can really see some amazing soil health improvement out here.
We would definitely have to agree that modern sewage treatment is a lot safer and more sanitary than having no kind of waste management. The problem is it's ultimately unsustainable. It's really inefficient. I mean, think about it. When you flush a toilet, you're adding clean water to waste, which makes dirty water. To that gets added other household waste and industrial waste, which makes even dirtier water. This water might go to a sewage treatment plant where that water has to then be removed. And what you're left with is what they're calling biosolids. To make that safe, it either requires more processing or that material has to be disposed in a landfill or through incineration. Really, any potential energy created, such as methane gas, really can't compensate for the amount of energy that needs to be used to process this waste.
Looks like a lot more straw off to the sides, and most of the soil here is right in the middle, but that makes sense because as you build your piles, you're constantly putting the new material right in the middle, and then you keep spreading things out. I'm actually surprised at how moist some of this stuff is. I mean, we live out here in the Arizona desert, but some of this stuff is still moist even toward the bottom. I think it just goes to show how if you get that good cover material, cover the ground, cover the earth, cover the compost, and you'll hold moisture in longer, and you're gonna get healthier soil from it.
Billions of people around the world do not have flush toilets, but the average American probably considers this a necessity.
I'm a really big fan of composting. I think it has tremendous benefits. And if we could get rid of the taboo surrounding humanure composting, that'd be powerful.
Flush toilets means an escape from inconvenience, fear, and shame. The fear comes from this threat of illness or even death, resulting from unsanitary conditions. For sure, that's a legitimate fear, but the thing about fear is it tends to disappear through education and understanding. What we came to understand is that there is an alternative solution for dealing with waste that can be safe and sustainable. And the shame part disappeared when we realized that what we were calling our waste was natural. And instead of viewing it as something that's wasteful and harmful, we began to see it as something beneficial and useful. There's really nothing shameful about that.
It literally brings you closer to the land. I guess that really is something to think about. And I mean, not only can the land give to you, but giving back. And really, you do become literally a part of the land. A symbiotic relationship, if you will.
Now let's talk about convenience for a minute. It's really convenient to be able to just push a lever and your poo disappears. You don't really have to think about it.
People probably don't really think about what happens to their waste when they flush it down a toilet, or if it just goes into a septic tank. flush it and forget it. Doing a Humanure compost, you get a real feel for how much waste you put out, because you have to literally haul it out in buckets. It really makes you cognizant of how much waste that you put out there.
We decided to live life in line with our values through caring for people, caring for the planet, and caring for our combined future, all living together on this planet. If we were going to do that, we really had to start thinking about the impact that we had through the daily choices that we make. So having to go through this compost process with our toilet contents just makes us more mindful and more aware and gives us a certain level of respect.
I think I'm going to inoculate the just finished compost with this compost and get some of these worms into the freshly finished compost. That'd be nice. Get a couple helpings of this old compost in with the new stuff. I'm pretty much finished digging out all the compost from the middle here. I think I'm just going to take some of this old straw that's kind of up on the sides. To start your Humanure compost, you need a good layer of straw, maybe about 18 inches thick, to start things off. So I think I'm just going to lay it down on the bottom, and some of that old straw will go to start the new compost pile.
So we call it waste, but Humanure composting really turns waste into a resource, a benefit. If you do it right, it can be done safely without fear of disease or contamination.
The reduced water use is a huge benefit as well. With the Humanure composting, we use way less water than a typical household would. Even your water efficient flushing just won't compete with this. Especially when you're living on a water budget, when you're living solely off of rainwater, this is a huge benefit.
And it can be used to grow food. It's sustainable because it closes the poop loop.
Eventually, we'd like to have a closed loop system out here. So everything gets recycled, there's no waste. We're growing food, some of that'll be composted, the rest of that'll turn into Humanure compost and turn into rich, healthy soil that we can use to start grow more things. I know Humanure isn't for everyone. It's a little more on the extreme side of homesteading or living off-grid. It's a lot of extra work. I know a lot of areas won't allow this kind of thing, and especially in cities, this kind of thing might be impractical. But it'd be awesome if this kind of thing could spread and turn into a much more efficient system across the country, across the world. You'd see a lot less pollution and a lot healthier soils. If anyone's interested in getting into Humanure composting, I definitely recommend the Humanure Handbook by Joe Jenkins.
So just to be clear, this isn't meant as a judgment for anyone who uses flush toilets. We just want to explain why we're doing it. Because I know it might seem gross, it might seem kind of strange, but we have our reasons, and I hope you can see why we get excited about this.
There's a nice sized pile of compost we got here. I'm pretty excited about it. So I got it piled up in a big mound. I figure that'll be best in order to keep that moisture in, lock it in, and I'm just gonna leave it uncovered here during the monsoon season so it can get all that rain. I might cover it up with a tarp maybe if it gets dry, but I'm just gonna let it sit here, let it decompose some more. I'm gonna take some of this old straw that was left over from our previous bales and just kind of cover this up a little bit. And this extra covering will also help keep that moisture in where it's needed. I can't wait till the day where I can literally cover this whole property in my own feces. I can't wait until the day when all this nice, rich, loamy soil just covers this land, and we got earthworms everywhere, and all the rainwater is just penetrating into the ground because the ground is so spongy it can take it. You know, a lot of times with rainwater harvesting, it's not just collecting it in containers, it's collecting it in the soil. And the only way you can do that efficiently is if you have nice, healthy, loamy soil. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Catch you in the next video.